Does Costa Rica leave behind a large carbon footprint? Well, let me start by explaining what exactly a carbon footprint is. It is an estimate of the weight of carbon dioxide released into our atmosphere as a result of human activity. It is measured in tons per year, and given that carbon dioxide is a gas, small weights imply a lot of emissions. And carbon footprints can be estimated at a personal level, national level, for business, or for other organizations or communities. But emissions from any source add to our global total. Now you may wonder, why are carbon footprints considered so important? Well, greenhouse gases trap heat in our planet's atmosphere, and carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. And the heat trapped in our atmosphere is what causes the planet to gradually heat up, hence global warming. And according to the EPA, carbon dioxide is by far the most important greenhouse gas, as it contributes a whopping 82% to the total of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. How do these come to be? Well, 75% of human carbon dioxide emissions come from fossil fuels. These are used directly or through electricity generation for heating, air conditioning, vehicles, ships, manufacturing of all types, and appliance use. Now, from my perspective, after having traveled to Costa Rica and experienced it firsthand, Costa Rica seems like it does a great job at mindfully leaving behind a small carbon footprint, which I will display and explain later on in the video. However, I must take into consideration that generally, developing countries such as Costa Rica do have lower numbers of carbon emissions. There are countries in the world like Qatar that emit 45.4 tons of carbon per capita, which means per person, annually. Saudi Arabia releases 19.5, and the United States of America releases 16.5, so Costa Rica does in fact do well compared to most of the other developed countries. Costa Rica emits 1.6 tons per capita of carbon dioxide per year. This is better than surrounding countries such as Chile that emits 4.7, Mexico 3.8, Ecuador 2.8, Brazil 2.7, and Panama with 2.3. Now let me take you into my journey with me to Costa Rica so we can get a first-hand view of how Costa Ricans manage their carbon footprint. Seemingly, Costa Ricans do a great job of maintaining a small carbon footprint, so let's dive in and see just how they do it. Well, it is largely due to sustainability for renewable energy sources like hydro, wind, solar, and geothermal, which Costa Rica has impressively relied on since 1994. Many houses and other buildings that we passed while driving through San Jose had solar panels on them. In fact, San Jose has been ranked the 5th best city in the world for solar energy. Another example of how Costa Ricans preserve their energy is that at one of the hotels we visited, the hot tub was entirely heated naturally by water that came down from the volcano. And from what I've seen, Costa Ricans also do a great job at preserving their forests, and they take pride in doing so. And this is crucial, as forests act as the lungs of the earth and are major carbon sinks. We visited several preserved national parks and refuges all across Costa Rica, and all in which had conserved forests within them, which spread for miles. One national park we visited was Poas Volcano National Park, where we hiked through the forest and up to an active stratovolcano. We also visited La Fortuna's waterfall, which was a natural, undisturbed beauty other than the stairs that went all the way down to it. And this waterfall is surrounded by a beautiful forest, and here at this waterfall they make sure to manage the amount of people swimming in it per day to make sure that there's not too much sunscreen in the water that'll damage the forests around it. We also visited Arenal Volcano National Park, where we hiked through trails of volcanic rock in the pouring rain and learned about the vegetation and rocks in the area. The views were absolutely spectacular, and you can see the forest spread for miles and miles across. It was an eye-opening experience to see just how much land was covered by forests. It made me believe that Costa Rica did a great job at protecting their forests. Next, we hiked through the forests of Rio Celeste, where we had a chance to see the beautiful naturally blue water coming down from the Rio Celeste waterfall and the forest surrounding it. We also had the opportunity to go tubing down the Rio Celeste River in the beautiful naturally blue water, which was an amazing experience. Upon learning that the water was naturally blue, I realized that this is because of how little the Costa Ricans pollute their rivers and forests, which keeps the water in its beautiful condition. We then had the opportunity to hike through the cloud forests of Santa Elena. Cloud forest meaning that at some points we were at high enough elevation that the clouds were at the same level as us. We even visited a giant and unique hollow fig tree that we had the chance to climb up and admire. It was great to see that they've conserved these forests and trees like this that are natural and unique ways that tourists and locals alike can enjoy nature without causing any harm. And finally, we had the opportunity to hike through the rainforests of Amigueres. Before we began our hike, the tour guides there explained to us how this area used to be for farmland and how after years it transformed back into a forest through reforestation. They also explained to us how it is now a place where students can go to learn about nature and the forests within it. And so it seems to me that Costa Ricans do in fact do a great job of preserving their forests, and they also do a great job at getting tourists involved with them. And at every national park we hiked at, we were well educated on the topic of their forests and their unique features, history, and just how important they are. In fact, some of our hotels educated us on the topic too, specifically Hotel Montana de Fuego. They even provided us with a class about how reforestation can help us reduce our carbon footprint and inform us that they themselves are carbon neutral. Their hotel is surrounded by secondary forests as all the trees cut to make room for property were replanted. Well, now we know that Costa Ricans do a great job preserving their forests and sustaining renewable energy. So how else did they manage to keep such a small carbon footprint? Well, let's jump right into their ecotourism. So Costa Ricans seem to be known for their ecotourism, as several destinations and hotels offer nature activities that provide beautiful views and fun activities, including ziplining canopy tours, horseback riding, river tubing, surfing and boat tours, snorkeling and sea kayaking, variety of different types of nature hikes, and much, much more. Through these variety of ecotourism activities that Costa Rica offers, we not only are educated about the importance of forests, but also the importance of wildlife. The Costa Rican locals seemed very passionate about the environment. They wanted to share that with us and make us understand just how important it is and just how special it can be. They did so not only by teaching us about the forests and showing us their beauty, but also by showing us about the animals that live within them and depend on them. They really encouraged us to care about our environment by explaining to us not only how it's important to us, but also how it's important to billions of ecosystems and animals. Now I'll display some clips of the opportunities we had to witness these animals living in nature. Through ecotourism, tourists in Costa Rica are encouraged to learn about their environment and the wildlife living within it. From my experience, this is a great way to give these tourists a better understanding of our world and our environment and just how important it is, not only to ourselves but for animals as well. Personally, the ecotourism in Costa Rica helped me gain a deeper understanding of just how carbon can really damage several species as a whole. It has helped me to better understand, more now so than ever before, that all species are dependent of other species in order to survive, and how us humans emitting so much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere is not only destroying life for other species, but inevitably for our own too. We learned about coral reefs and their importance in our oceans, as they too act like carbon sinks of the oceans, and we're destroying them by wearing sunscreen into our oceans, and how destroying them is emitting lots of carbon into our atmosphere. Finally, in Costa Rica, we visited a farm where I got to witness and experience how local farmers make their own alcoholic drinks and foods such as chocolate and fresh sugarcane. The high demand for transportation of alcohol from other places across the world are one of the highest carbon emitting sources, and so, Costa Ricans, by making their own alcohol locally, are contributing their part to leaving behind a small carbon footprint. This also applies to the chocolate that they make locally. In addition to this, I also watched as they wrap their chocolate in banana leaves rather than plastic, paper, or aluminum. So it would seem from my experience that Costa Ricans do indeed leave behind a small carbon footprint, at least in comparison to other surrounding countries. In fact, Costa Rica as a whole plans to end dependence on carbon entirely by 2021. I believe that Costa Rica deserves its ranking as one of the world's most eco-friendly travel destinations worldwide. And so, in conclusion, I believe that Costa Rica does in fact leave behind a small carbon footprint. And although I know that it's not perfect and it has plenty of room for improvement, as all countries do, I think that Costa Rica is an example country to all the rest of the countries in the world in order for us to prevent and reduce the emission of carbon dioxide.